Everyone has seen the classic movie, The Wizard of Oz. Famous quotes such as lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, and there's no place like home are always the first lines that pop into our heads when someone brings up The Wizard of Oz. The movie takes place in Kansas, where a vicious tornado occurs. When they least expect it, the main character, Dorothy, and her dog, Toto, are whisked away in their house to a place that is unfamiliar to them. This place is called Oz. On their way to Emerald City, Dorothy and Toto must follow the Yellow Brick Road. Along their journey, they meet many interesting characters, like the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion, and also the Wicked Witch of the West. The music in this video is actually part of the Wizard of Oz soundtrack. What most people don't know is that the Wizard of Oz and the characters in the story are all symbolic of populism and progressivism. The author of the story, L. Frank Baum, wrote the novel in 1900, which was the middle of the Progressive Era. The Progressive Era, which lasted around 1890 to 1920, was based on spreading social activism and reform across the country and eradicating the various issues that were caused by corruption, industrialization, and urbanization. On the other hand, populism was a political movement that was directed towards improving the conditions for the American farmers and the agrarian workers. The Populist Party based their platform on specific needs such as the free coinage of silver, the sub-treasury program, the termination of protective tariffs on factory-made goods, and the direct election of U.S. senators. On the surface, Dorothy might seem like a regular character who wants to go home, and it might also seem that she is fighting for an opportunity at having what everyone should undoubtedly be entitled to. Looking at the Wizard of Oz symbolically, Dorothy is a representation of the populists. They supported ordinary people and felt that wealthy people received money and goods all too easily. Dorothy could also represent the muckrakers of the Progressive Era due to how she strongly states her opinion about what is wrong in Oz. The Scarecrow is blatantly obvious representation of the farmers and the labor unions of the Populist Era. Dorothy found the Scarecrow in a cornfield, and his primary wish was to have a brain, which shows that he might not be the most intelligent. The Scarecrow is a response to the discriminatory idea that farmers were not smart enough to identify their own abilities. Farmers were almost helpless during the time due to the changing economy, and this is the perfect representation through the Scarecrow's character. The Cowardly Lion is a great depiction of people during the Progressive Era that were too afraid to voice their opinion. Many believe that the Cowardly Lion is a symbol of William Jennings Bryan because of his inability to get the votes of the industrial workers during the election of 1896. In the story, it says, when the Cowardly Lion first meets Dorothy and her companions, he strikes the Tin Man but does not make a dent in his metal body, which shows that Bryan could not sway the industrialized workers. Additionally, the Tin Man represents the factory and the industrial workers during the Depression in the 1890s. When the Tin Man is found, he is completely rusted shut and unable to move. When Dorothy tries to oil the Tin Man, it takes her a good amount of time, but she is eventually able to help him. This is similar to how America had a hard time dealing with the Depression, but in the end they were able to make it through. The Wicked Witch is a portrayal of the Great Plains and how difficult it was for people to live there. The drought in the Great Plains during the 1890s drove many farmers out of business, which made it hard for them to earn a living. The Wizard in Oz is supposed to be a symbol of President William McKinley. Presidents are known for demonstrating leadership and admirable traits, both of which the Wizard proved to have. The entire story is also an allegory about populism on an economic scale. Dorothy has to get to Emerald City, which is entirely symbolic of money. To get to Emerald City, Dorothy has to take the Yellow Brick Road, which is actually referring to the gold standard. Her new shoes, which represent the populist desire to change the gold standard to the bimetallic standard of both gold and silver, make her trip much simpler. Dorothy eventually reaches Emerald City by wearing her silver shoes and following the Yellow Brick Road. Her shoes are ruby red in the movie and silver in the novel. Here is a video that further explains historical connections between the Wizard of Oz and populism. Henry Littlefield decided to write an article about what he truly thought the Wizard of Oz was about. Many people strongly disagree that the Wizard of Oz is entirely an allegory for the populist movement, but every character perfectly mirrors certain aspects of the era. Although it might seem like a children's story, the Wizard of Oz is much more than that if you choose to look deeper into its true meaning.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road. of a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. You ought to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.